my name is Beata. I am from Poland and I am 39 years old. My tongue language, this is Polish, of course. Actually, from very beginning, I was surrounded with Russian, because Russian language, it was very popular in my country. We learned it at schools. We watched Russian films, and even my mother, when she spoke to me, she put some Russian words. Actually, she does it till today. And when I was a little girl, I didn't know that it wasn't Polish. I thought that it was Polish, and then when I grew up, I found out that it was Russian. When I was young, I used sometimes Russian words speaking in Polish, and I didn't know that it wasn't Polish, so it was very interesting. I remember that when I was a child, we could watch only Russian films and films from Czech Republic. Until today, it's like this, that Czech, it's very funny to me. Sounds, in general, Czech language sounds very funny to Polish ear. Then when I was older, I started to study English in non-formal education, and then when I was in secondary school, I started to study English in formal education already, and in my secondary school I studied German as well. For 3 years, and unfortunately I don't remember anything, just 2 words, das Buch and das Fenster, or die Fenster. The funny thing about German in my life is this, that the teacher, she was Russian, and she had very strong Russian accent, so sometimes when she spoke to us, when she asked some questions in German, we answered in Russian, but we weren't aware that it is Russian. So there were very funny situation about this. But unfortunately, I don't remember anything about this language now. After my studies, I decided to learn French. And I learned for 2 months, and it was the first time when I experienced, when I felt what is barriers with speaking in foreign language. I don't know what's happened to me with French, but it was, I don't know, if very difficult, because I know that there are easier and more difficult languages, but if you study it, when you really learn it and you want to get in this language, you can learn any, I think. But I couldn't remember anything, and when we started to learn numbers, then I decided to leave it, French, so I had adventure with French too. Then around 30 I decided to go to England for half a year, but I stayed there for 2 years, and I studied English there, and I was working, and it was really very interesting experience to me as well, because I thought that I spoke English already, but when I went there and when I tried to buy anything or to communicate with any English, I couldn't understand anything. It was, for me, very surprising. Then in London I started to meet with Spanish people, and then with Spanish people, and then I learned a few words in Spanish, and then I went to Spain to live there for 2 years as well, and I learned Spanish there. I lived in North Spain, in Basque Country, so I had a contact with Basque language as well. I didn't learn it because I didn't have a need to know this language then, but the Spanish or the Basques, I don't know, some of them they are Spanish, some of them they consider Basques. They put, like my mother, she put Russian, speaking in Polish, so they speaking Spanish, they put some Basque words. So I assimilated a few words of this, especially when I talked to my dog. I was giving a comment in Basque language, because the dog understood this in this language, in Spanish as well, in Polish. So this is my story about the languages. Probably it's not so interesting. I never had to learn any language trying to survive. It was just always my choice, because I wanted to, I don't know, to develop, or I just wanted to get to know other cultures. Anyway, when I left my country, Poland, first time, and I started to live in another country, and I was surrounded with another culture, another nation, then I really changed. A lot of things changed in my mind. Then I realized that every nation had its own personal traits, and that we are different. I didn't know it, that we can be so different in a way. And of course, at the beginning I judged, I evaluated the situation, but after some time I understood that that any situation, any place in the world has its pluses and minuses, and the most important thing is just to be happy, just to feel in a subjective way happiness. And I remember when I lived in London, I met a lot of people from different countries, even from the countries that before I didn't know that these countries exist. And I remember when sometimes we talked about religion and about our attitude to religion. And for me it was amazing that each of us, we thought that our religion is the only right one and the only real one. And then I, for example, realized that then I want to say that I changed my my attitude, and I changed anything about religion. It was a big change in my life. Then for me, when I started to I don't know, to travel or to live in another countries, for me it was interesting experience, because I noticed that there are a lot of different kinds of different ways of doing different things, feeling different things, that I can react in different ways. I felt richer about kind of feelings and about some kind of reactions. And from that time, my dream, I started to dream to have this kind of life, this kind of job that I could sometime live in Poland, and some other times just to live abroad and work like this, to work in Poland and work abroad. I would like to live everywhere, really, just for some time, because I really need to come back to my country, because I am so get used to this people, to this whatever it is here. But anyway, maybe one day my dreams will come through and I will be then happy in 100%, if it's possible, of course.